There was a point where I was trying to heal. I was trying to heal the part of me my awakening came to dissolve. And one of the things that shifted for me after awakening was going from seeking validation to wanting transformation. Because I realized I was living inside the feeling that validating my pain alone was enough to heal me. But awakening showed me something deeper, something that breaks the illusion. Validation does not transform the self, it validates the self that was created from pain. And that self can become another prison. And we're not healing, we're just creating another personality that calls itself healed. I was wrapped up in attachments, dealing with feelings of loneliness, hurt, being abandoned. There was no peace in my life. And the main thing I saw was that every decision I made, I determined in my mind, in my head, that it was going to be all about me now. I thought I was choosing myself, and that's reasonable, right? For us to choose ourselves, we must choose ourselves in order to become better. The thought of choosing myself, that was protecting myself from everything I had been through in my life so far, right? I thought I was making decisions from a place of finally caring about me and no one else. But really, what I was doing was making decisions based on what I was experiencing. And from that experience, I created another version of me, which I thought was better. A personality that just didn't care anymore. A personality that was hard, sometimes very cold, withdrawn, and very protected. That personality I created was the one who didn't want to get hurt anymore, if that makes sense. I wasn't healed. I was just creating another identity to protect me from getting hurt. So I started to see that what I thought was healing was still being created from a place of pain. The pain was still there. And the personality that was created from fear. Fear of being hurt again, fear of being abandoned. And we create these personality for ourselves, and they become like a prison. The false self can create a prison for us. It can make us believe that we are free because now we are protected. And then I was labeling it as the best version of myself because I didn't care anymore. This is the version that I need to be to protect myself, to live in this world that is so chaotic. But if the self was created from pain, then pain is still the center of it. And if that personality stays alive, the pain stays alive as well. So what I realized in me waking up, I wasn't really healing. I just became the healed version of my hurt self. And that's because there were no inner shift. Nothing changed on the inside. I was still seeing from my pain and just performing a version of that created me. And sometimes in choosing ourselves, we choose the parts of ourselves that are not the real us. We choose from the pain and we choose from the hurt. We choose from the fear. And that's the ego's way of keeping that person alive, keeping itself alive, the false self. And so when we choose from those parts of us that are not real, it becomes misleading because it can feel like healing. It can feel like you're growing. It can feel like you've created these boundaries. And there's a fun fact about me is that I am certified life coach. I got certified some years back. And you know what? Even when I tried to get a job in that career path, let's say, I could not find my place in it. Because most of what it is, and this is just from where I'm seeing, I'm not criticizing here, but most of what I saw from the place I'm seeing from is that you're validating people's pain. And that's an important part of coaching, validating their pain and making them feel safe in the pain. And I said to myself, well, how is that transformation? So it didn't work for me because in my awakening, I realized the self created from validation is not the same as the self revealed through inner transformation. I don't know if you can relate to that. And that is where the shift happens because your awakening or after awakening, the shift that happened is I didn't just want my pain being validated. I started to realize the root of the pain and realizing it's just kind of slowly dissolving. The person the pain created started to dissolve. Inner transformation is really about the way you see things. As something in you shifts, consciousness rises, so you become self-aware. You recognize that really it's the ego that craves validation. But then something deeper is pulling you inward, and saying detach. Allowing us to detach from the pain. And so if you're not experiencing this inner shift, this might not resonate for you. There's a deeper awareness now. Not to validate, but to recognize what has been living in us. Let me put it that way. What part we are still attached to. This is in the middle of the journey of awakening to one true nature. It's seeing what parts of us are still attached and what parts still need validation to stay alive. What would still call it itself me. Because the problem with these creative personalities Even the awakened one is that they are just performing. It's not truly who we are. And if there is no inner transformation, then it seems as if we're just validating the false self, validating the ego. Personalities never bring inner peace. They change based on what is around us. They change because they need to survive what is around them, whatever the perceived situation is. The personality changes. So now, the deeper understanding for me is choosing myself becomes something deeper. It's not just choosing and putting myself first. It's a much deeper scene. Is that when you choose yourself, you are shifting from all those identities that was created from ego, and the focus turns inward. When we truly choose ourselves, the focus is not just about what is around us. It's more about what is in us. The true self doesn't get hurt or need to protect itself. It is just this ever-present awareness. It's not personality or identity. The more you awaken to this, you move from person to presence. And that is what I am experiencing. It is the awareness that is left when all the layers of identity falls away. That is your true self. It's not becoming something. And sometimes I'm guilty of this. We want the honey, but we do not want the sting. The honey comes from the bees, but the bees can sting you, right? We want the validation. We want the healing part of it. We want to feel seen in our pain, but we do not always want the sting of seeing the self we created around the pain. And that is why inner transformation is different. Transformation does not just validate the false self, it reveals it. It lets you see the person, the personality it created. It lets you see the prison the false self creates around us. It lets you even see the healed version that is created. So when we really choose ourselves, we shift from just wanting our situation to be validated to wanting to change from the inside. And that's why you cannot force awakening. I have to let it take its course in me. Then choosing yourself becomes a pathway to inner peace and truth. And that is the transformation for me. Not becoming the healed, hurt self, but seeing the self clearly enough to stop living from what was created to protect the pain. If the personality stays alive, the pain stays alive. And maybe The deeper question here is not, am I choosing myself in the right way? Maybe the question is, what self are we choosing? What self are we choosing and calling it healed?